A Jewish American man is accused of the attempted murder of 2 Israeli tourists he reportedly mistook for Palestinians. A surveillance video appeared to show 27-year-old Mordechai Brafman exiting his truck and opening fire at a passing vehicle. At the request of his lawyer, Brafman was not interviewed by police, but while in custody, he spontaneously stated, quote, "While driving my truck, I saw 2 Palestinians and shot and killed both." In actual fact, both men survived. One suffered a gunshot wound to the shoulder, and the other was only grazed on his forearm. In a grimly ironic twist, however, shortly after the attack, one of the victims took to social media to post virulent anti-Arab racism. Here's a screenshot of that now deleted Facebook post. "My father and I went through a murder attempt against anti-Semitic background. They tried to murder us in the heart of Miami. But the creator of the world is with us, so he didn't go. I want to say thank you to everyone for their support, and it is not taken for granted. With Israel live, or long live Israel. Death to the Arabs." Ironically enough, the guy shooting him also thought the same. Since the beginning of Israel's war on Gaza, there have been several violent attacks on Palestinians in the US. On the 14th of October 2023, 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy Wadia Al-Fayoum was stabbed 26 times by the landlord who owned his family's Chicago apartment. His mother was also stabbed several times but survived the attack. Prosecutors said the 71-year-old killer landlord was obsessed with the war on Gaza. What an appalling attack. In November 2023, meanwhile, 3 Palestinian-American students were shot in Vermont, leaving one of them, 20-year-old Hisham Awatini, paralyzed from the neck down. The victims were reportedly wearing keffiyehs and speaking Arabic at the time of the attack. Campaigners have questioned why many politicians who've been so vocal about the threat of anti-Semitism in the US have simultaneously failed to condemn anti-Palestinian racism, including a child being stabbed 26 times. Kieran, bringing things back to Miami, this story is like something out of a comedy sketch, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Larry David is probably sitting somewhere quietly fighting back laughter. There's more than a touch of the Palestinian chicken episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm in some of this. But I hope that doesn't sound too glib, because it is there's a very, very serious point around all of this, of course, which is that, well, several serious points. First of all, Zionism, if anybody needed any more proof, is an extremely depraved, messianic, racist death cult. And Zionist ideology is ever committed to, certainly at this juncture in history, the extermination of Palestinians. And that, of course, racism is indiscriminate as well as being discriminate. So it's foolish, and in this case, it means that an individual has shot people on his own side because of pigment levels in their skin and perceived assumptions about their appearances. But yeah, that's obviously a very serious point. And the other serious point is that there is a rise in anti-Arab racism in the United States. You went over some of the examples a moment ago. Actually, there are some serious, I think pretty seriously disturbing hate groups, one of which is a group called Beta, that is going around university campuses in the United States day after day after day, intimidating Arabs on university campuses from New York to the Midwest. And, it's the kind of thing that doesn't really get reported by the mainstream media. It doesn't get picked up in the same way that comparative anti-Semitic attacks or threats do get picked up. I think it's very important to mention it. The hypocrisy or the double standards between not just the reporting, but actually the policing of these things is disturbing. And I think, I hope not, but I suspect these are straws in the wind, because Palestinians, particularly over the past 18 months, have been demeaned in public, have been dehumanized so systematically through the media that, in some quarters, in some racist quarters, again, high on the racist ideology of Zionism, I think I fear that it's open season.
Yeah, I mean, I asked you if it was like something from a sketch. You said Larry David. I mean, it does feel like a joke, right? What do you call it when a Zionist, ultra-nationalist Israeli shoots another Zionist, ultra-nationalist? Anti-Semitism. I mean, what else could it be, right? But this is just the most egregious example, which has found its way through to the global Anglophone sort of news media environment because it's so ludicrous. But this mindset is responsible for so much suffering and hate and physical violence, not just in Gaza. As I said, those stories, I mean, there's been so much happening, obviously in Gaza, the West Bank, that you easily forget some of these other things. But that story from October 2023 is just remarkable. A landlord stabbed a child who was the child of one of his tenants 26 times. I mean, I can't conceive of anything more evil. I cannot conceive of anything more evil. You know, we're told constantly by the media what to feel about this or that story. I say this all the time, right? The media long ago gave up on the idea of informing you about story or even telling you what to think about stories. They now tell you what to feel. So it's not what to think, but what to feel. It's another level up. But this in particular, I mean, it's just one of those that's been jettisoned from popular consciousness. That story and this one, I think, really underscore the violence and the contempt held towards Arabs in general, but I think Gazans and Palestinians in particular. Really, really extraordinary.